Hello guys! Just imagine a car where you have to look for the door handle somewhere on the floor. A car that is the height of your knees, and the glove box of it can barely fit a bank card. Oh, and the cup holder is not on the side of the seat, but it is behind the driver's back. Sounds crazy, right? It is hard to believe that the history of Lamborghini, one of the most prestigious luxury cars, originates from the production of agricultural machinery. Moreover, the brand could not have been born at all if it wasn't for one fateful conversation between the creator of Ferrari and a certain motorist who came to the factory with a complaint about his car. You are watching the Brand Core channel, and today we will tell you an amazing story about how a simple farmer's son who founded a tractor company turned that into the world-famous luxury car brand you know today as Lamborghini. If you end up enjoying this video, consider subscribing. It's free and you can always change your mind. Enjoy the video. The father of the Lamborghini brand is Italian businessman Ferruccio Lamborghini. He was born in 1916 to a family of simple farmers. His father taught him to work on the farm from childhood, and when his son developed an interest in various mechanisms, he encouraged his hobby. After graduating from high school, Ferruccio received a specialty in the field of casting and welding at a technical university. When he was only 19 years old, he and his friend Marino Filippini opened their own workshop. But already in 1939, they were called up to the army, where Lamborghini repaired military equipment until the end of the war. Thanks to it, he gained invaluable experience. Upon returning home, the enterprising Ferruccio began to buy spare parts and components of military equipment, which he remodeled to meet the needs of farmers. His talent and knowledge gained in the war did its job, and the master had great success among the locals. Then, Ferruccio scraped together all his savings, borrowed money from his parents, and founded the Lamborghini Trattori Company in 1948. With a small team in just a year, he designed and made his first tractor. Almost all the elements of the Lamborghini are borrowed from different techniques or reinvented in a new way. For example, the engine was taken from a military truck, but Ferruccio decided to design the tank with an evaporator according to his own drawing. The local farmers who bought the first few tractors were so happy with the work that in the next few months, the firm produced more than 10 orders. A year later, the Lamborghini tractor was so popular that the company did not have time to fulfill all orders. This is due to the fact that the product was of high quality, and it was relevant to the market. The company developed so rapidly that soon it began to need to increase the number of employees and expand production capacity. When the master was 35 years old, he finally realized what he wanted to devote his life to. So he made a very risky decision. With the help of his father, he obtained a bank loan, and as collateral, he offered the entire family farm and the tractor production factory. Some would have been afraid to put everything they had on the line, but Ferruccio was firmly convinced of success. That's why he made the bull as the logo of his company. Being a bull by horoscope, he believed that the main characteristic of this sign perfectly describes his personality: stubbornness and a strong desire to finish the job. He spent the loan on 1,000 new Morris engines designed for future tractors. In the next 2 years, 300 units were sold. What was so good about the Lamborghini tractor though? First of all, it had a low price. In addition to that, the tractor was easy to maintain and operate. Any street urchin could fix it in a short time. But how did a tractor manufacturer suddenly begin to produce cars? The fact was that Ferruccio was an avid motorist, but he had to change the model of the car several times, because each time after the purchase, he found some flaws. For the longest time, he used a Ferrari 250 GT of various modifications, but even those were not perfect. According to the story of his son, one day Ferruccio came to the Ferrari factory to complain about the quality of the clutch in his car directly to Enzo Ferrari. Lamborghini just wanted to talk to Enzo and even wanted to help him fix the problem. But Enzo, known for his short temper, didn't even want to listen to Ferruccio. Moreover, he called him a provincial farmer who knew nothing about cars, much less sports cars. After an annoying conversation, Ferruccio, together with the chief foreman of his factory, disassembled the transmission in a Ferrari and realized that many parts of the car were also used in Lamborghini tractors. Then the entrepreneur simply found a suitable replacement in the warehouse, and after the assembly, the problem was solved. Lamborghini was so offended by the words of Ferrari that he decided at all costs to create a car that would be better than Enzo's. That moment was a turning point in Ferruccio's life, and nobody knows if he would have created a legendary brand if he had not been obsessed with the idea of proving to an arrogant competitor what he is capable of. Together with Giotto Bizzarini, a talented former Ferrari mechanic, Lamborghini equipped the car with a V12 engine. The clutch was made identical to the tractor, and the body was designed by the designer Franco Scaglione. In 1963, Ferruccio opened a car manufacturing company. At the same time, he presented his first model at the official opening at the Turin Auto Show. The first of its kind, the Lamborghini 350 GTV, made a great impression on the public. Ferruccio immediately clarified that he did not create the car for racing, but for a good ride and pleasure. And being a true professional, he knew how to bribe motorists. Despite the fact that the car was only partially ready at the presentation, Lamborghini received several dozen orders. In 1964, the design of the car was finalized and put into production. Thanks to the success of the first model, the brand quickly gained popularity. And already in 1965, Ferruccio released the legendary Lamborghini Miura. No one expected such a success. In just a couple of years, 764 copies of the new car were sold. The car had a powerful engine, was well controlled on the track, and delighted many people with its unusual design. The price, of course, was at least $20,000 per unit, which became its ticket to the category of luxury cars. The price did not confuse the buyers at all, so Lamborghini soon overtook Ferrari. Gradually, the range of Lamborghini cars was replenished with new models. In the late 60s, the Aslero 400 GT was released, followed by the Jarama 400 GT, better known in narrow circles as Ferruccio's personal Rolls-Royce. In the late 70s, in the wake of the oil crisis, it was decided that they would expand production and develop an off-roader for the US Armed Forces. The Pentagon, despite the good test results of the Cheetah model, refused the order. By 1971, Ferruccio Lamborghini again impressed the public by presenting a prototype of the future Lamborghini Countach, with an unusual design, guillotine-type doors, and an engine of unique power, the volume of which reached 4 liters. The model accelerated to 300 km per hour and became the first supercar to enter the Guinness Book of Records. In 1979, a more refined version of the Countach LP400S was released with a 455 horsepower engine. And for the first time in the history of this brand, it was produced with a 4-valve motor. In 1972, everyone was thunderstruck by the news that Ferruccio decided to leave the head post of the company. The fact is that the company plunged into a state of crisis due to the termination of a lucrative contract for the export of agricultural machinery to South America. The only way to save the company, according to Ferruccio, was to sell his share to the company Fiat. As a result of the oil crisis in 1973, all tractor production went into the hands of the Italian concern Sein-Dutzfar Group. By 1974, Lamborghini sold all his shares, and with the money, he bought a villa in Castiglione de Langhe, where he commenced to grow grapes and make wine. After Ferruccio's departure, the company released the Countach LP400 in an updated design. The power output then was 375 horsepower. This model was the only one that could keep the company afloat for the next few years. But the success was short-lived. Interruptions in the supply of spare parts and components, and a series of troubles in 1978 forced the company to declare bankruptcy. All shares were purchased at auction by the Mimra brothers. However, they didn't own it for a long time, and a few years later, Lamborghini was bought by the Chrysler Corporation. Under its auspices, the company released an improved model of the Lamborghini Countach with the bright name Diablo. But they could not pull the company out of the financial hole, and it was resold. Lamborghini changed owners one by one until the company was acquired by Audi AG in 1998. It was from this moment that the business of Lamborghini began to gradually improve. The design of the cars was significantly changed, becoming more versatile, modern, and stylish. In 2001, a new Murcielago model was released, which featured revolutionary technical capabilities and refined external finishes. There were only 400 of these machines produced. Thanks to the influence of Audi and a sensible approach to production, Lamborghini rose from the ashes and once again was on par with luxury cars. After 10 years, the Lamborghini model range was expanded with a new exemplar of the Lamborghini Aventador, which accelerated to 100 km per hour in just 3 seconds. And in 2014, the company created a new model of Lamborghini called Huracan, which could reach a speed of 350 km per hour, an acceleration from 0 to 100 km per hour in just 2.9 seconds. A total of 23 different models have been produced since the first car under the Lamborghini brand. In the United Arab Emirates, Lamborghini cars are not uncommon. There, the police patrol the streets using these cars. With the Italian police, a Lamborghini is used to transport donated organs. But the most interesting copies are used by the Vatican police. This is a model for the prosecution of criminals, which is more like a Lamborghini golf class. The choice of car here is quite obvious. Among a large crowd of tourists, it is much more maneuverable than a supercar. The Lamborghini company is an example of the fact that nothing is impossible if you get down to business with intelligence and enthusiasm. Even bankruptcy and prolonged stagnation did not prevent talented managers and engineers to bring back to life the brainchild of a brilliant mechanic from a modest farming family. Thanks to the fact that Ferruccio never changed his love for his work, he managed to build a career. He always pushed hard to fulfill his dreams. Who knows, perhaps if it hadn't been for the offensive words of Ferrari, the history of the famous mechanic would have developed differently. But Lamborghini would certainly contribute to the development of mechanical engineering. After all, in just 9 years of managing the company, Ferruccio left an indelible mark on the history of the automotive world. That was because he didn't stop inventing for a second. As he said himself, when you stop working, you start to die. And this is probably the main reason for the success of the Lamborghini brand. Thank you so much for watching. It would be great to read your opinion in the comments about how the fate of Lamborghini could have developed if it hadn't been for the confrontation with Enzo Ferrari. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and see you next time.